So last time we talked, you had been wanting to try book clubs in your classroom. And from what I understand, you got the opportunity to do that last week.
Yep.
How did it go? Tell me about it.
The kids definitely like it. They like the books. They like the fact that they can get together with friends and just talk about their book. I think that they also like the fact that they like doing the reactions on the sticky notes and then sharing those. Yeah, I think they like it.
Okay. So it sounds like in general, the kids are liking it.
Yes.
What were you thinking about it as far as its instructional implications and success instructionally?
I think it's definitely kind of like the teacher as coach type thing where I don't really have to do as much work, so I like that about it. I was using those cards that we got from CES, with the question cards. So if there's not a packet made for it, I can kind of just give them one of those questions, or if they're like, I noticed that they're kind of trailing off a little bit and they're kind of running out of things to talk about, I can ask them one of those questions, and then that'll kind of restart the conversation. But I like it. I think it's limited work on my part, but it gets a lot out of them as readers.
Okay. So as the kids were participating in the discussion, were all the groups discussing at the same time, or?
Yes.
Okay, and then you were what were you doing?
Circulating, just monitoring who was involved in the conversation, who wasn't. I was keeping track of who had sticky notes, who was sharing the reactions, who wasn't. It was kind of just that because it was our first time, so I just kind of wanted to see how things went, and then so I can make adjustments from there.
Okay. What concerns or questions or problems are you having, or would you like to discuss or address as far as book clubs are concerned?
The one concern is not all the students not reading up to where they need to in the amount of time. I don't know if I'm not giving them enough time to read. Some kids read fast, some kids don't read as fast. So, and I grouped them by lexile for their first one just to kind of see how it goes. So that's one problem. Interest groups would be one thing that kids were asking. I told them that if they do well with this one, they could choose their own groups to do books, and they could choose their own books. So I wanted to get some feedback, I guess, on how that would go.
Okay.
As well. Problem.
Okay. So I'm hearing a couple things. One is you have high expectations for them and the number of page numbers that they're reading. It sounds like that's important to you to make sure that they're rigorously engaged. However, you're having some students who aren't meeting the goal.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm also hearing you say that you might be interested in looking at ways to group the kids in a different way.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay. So let's think about the expectations first. I just have a couple questions about that. At this point, how many pages are you expecting the students to read in preparation for the book club?
Well, it's different per book. I'm going to say it averages between like 30 and 50. And that's in a week. I think last time I gave them, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 days to do that. Which when you think about it, that's only about 10 to 15 pages a day, which to me doesn't sound like too high of an expectation, but I guess for some students it's just out of their reach.
So are you giving them time in class to read this? Is this homework? How?
In class. I'm
in
giving
class.
them their independent reading time.
During independent reading time, so you're basically expecting them to read 10 to 15 minutes a day during independent reading time?
20, 25-ish we're at now.
Okay. So are the students reading other books besides their book club books, or what might be happening that's preventing them from reaching the expectation that you have?
I guess so. I guess how I did it last week, and like I said, it was my first time, so I'm kind of learning still. If they weren't finished and they read that during their independent reading time, if they did get finished, then they were able to read the book of their choice. Like I said, I think I told them on Monday, and then we did it after reading on Wednesday. So they had 3 independent reading times to get ready and caught up.
Okay.
And then I told them at the end of the day, if you don't think you're going to get there, maybe you want to read a little bit at home. I just kind of had them use their own judgment, I guess. So yeah.
So at this point, what's the relationship between the lexile level of the book and the page number expectations?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that might be something to...
So maybe if it's a lower lexile, give them a lower...
Well, in your experiences, whenever you've, have you noticed any patterns in your lower lexile level readers and what they're capable of?
Yes.
Okay, so then that's making me wonder if perhaps you looked at a correlation between the lexile level or the ability of the group and the page numbers.
Okay.
That might be something to consider. Now, as far as the interest level versus books that you've assigned based on Lexile. My real question to you is, what are your goals with the book clubs? Like, what are you trying to get out of them?
The biggest part is the discussion piece, just having them be able to collaborate and have a productive discussion, and learn how to take each other's feedback and learn how to disagree appropriately. That's something that we struggle with a lot, and being able to build on each other's ideas as well.
Okay, so it sounds to me like you really value that discussion and collaborative piece, and you're looking to use book clubs to enhance that in your students.
Yes.
Okay, what does it look like when students are successful? Like, if you were to give them an A, say, on a discussion, what would that look like?
I think they would definitely be either agreeing or disagreeing. They'd be contributing their own ideas. If someone else already said their idea, they would add to that idea with their own ideas. And they would definitely come to the discussion prepared. They would have their stickies ready with their reactions, and they'd be willing to share and cooperate.
And in what ways have you relayed these expectations to the students?
I laid out the discussion guide. They have that discussion guide, a copy of that, and they also have the bookmark. They have this bookmark as well.
Okay.
For their guidelines.
Okay. So it sounds like you have really set up the routine. The first go was a success as far as they did what they were supposed to do, sort of, in most of the ways. What is your concern about moving from Lexile level groups to interest level groups?
Maybe having just two different of Lexiles with the page number goals. If someone's reading at a 6th grade level and the other person's reading at a 2nd grade level, then it's going to kind of be hard to set that page expectation if they're at those different levels.
Okay, so I am here to help you moving forward with this. So to summarize, we've talked about the concerns that you have with the Lexile discrepancies. Okay, so that's one thing that we could look at. You've talked a little bit about, and in your notes that you provided for me on your reflection, you talked about assessing student participation in the discussion.
Yes.
We discussed what the expectations are that you have and how you've relayed them so far and where students kind of are with meeting them. And then we've also talked about the issue of how many pages per book, or per week or per section and those things. So moving forward, which of those things would you like us to focus on, or which would be the most beneficial for us at this point to have the largest impact on your instruction?
I think probably the page number issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if I were to come into your classroom, what kind of evidence might I be able to collect, or what data might be helpful for you? What kind of things might we be able to gather to help you with that?
Maybe student engagement. Are they actually engaged in their reading, or are they not interested? So maybe that leads me to their interest. Maybe they're just not interested in the book, and maybe that's the struggle with them reading the amount of pages. Maybe their reactions. How much time are they spending on making those sticky note reactions? Am I asking for too many reactions per chapter? So maybe that's what's holding them up.
So basically, it would be helpful if I came in during the independent reading block, not the book club discussion itself.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll come in during the independent reading block, and I'll look for student engagement. Perhaps putting times, like checking each student every so many minutes. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said, are they interested in the book, or what's causing them to not be engaged? So perhaps just me asking them a question. You know, you're off task, what's going on, or something along those lines. Okay, and then as far as the reactions to the post-it notes and all of that, what do you think would work as far as me gathering information
Maybe
about that?
seeing how much time they're actually spending, like, per reaction. Like, are they only taking 30 seconds out? Are they jotting things down? Or are they, maybe they're writing in too long, you know what I mean? Maybe I need to teach them ways to summarize what they're thinking, or just jot it down in a couple words.
Okay. So what we'll do then is I'll come in and gather this data. Well, before that even, I'll create a collection tool.
Okay.
I'll share it with you in Google Classroom. You can take a look at it, make sure that you feel like it's going to gather all the data that you would like for me to gather. I'll come in and do that, and then we'll debrief afterwards and see if we can find out what exactly is going on and use that to guide our next steps. Okay? So if you could email me a time in the next week, that might be a good time for me to come in to observe this, and then we'll go from there.
Sure.
Great, thank you.